All right. Welcome to another episode of the Wonderfair Home Shopping Network.
Indeed. Welcome to Wonderfair Home Shopping, a brick-and-mortar home shopping network based out of Lawrence, Kansas, United States, global pandemic time.
Coming at you live from downtown Lawrence on a Monday with a special guest today. We've got Louis Wagon Tocolino, owner of Decade and the newly opened Cellar Door Cafe.
And his additional special guests, plate full of English muffins.
We're staring at the other special guests.
The special guests.
They won't last long.
And muffins.
They're not designed to be around for all that long.
Not like us. We're gonna keep slogging through this with all of you from our cozy location, which is closed to foot traffic but open to online and phone ordering.
Yeah, and big update on the tech side. We got Lexi in the store today, so phone calls during the show, they're fine. You can call. Lexi will handle your order. So for the first time ever, if you see something you like,
over a month,
if you want this journal, just call us. Lexi's here to take your order.
Just like real home shopping TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing it. Big budget here.
Well, in our quest to attain realness, which I believe is sort of like all paths should lead to this, what other real local news do you have to share before we launch into today's program, which will include the final features of notebooks? I'm just going to summarize real quickly because it turns out
we've done 2 full episodes on notebooks already. Today we're going to cover some brands, talk about some peculiarities, or not peculiarities.
I like that
just
word.
Like
yes, peculiarities by brand.
Peculiarities by brand or features would be another word that's maybe less.
Enough about that. What's
Okay.
your local news, man?
Local news, stuff around town. You know, like I don't have a ton of news. We got Louis here. That's the big news. Is we ate a cinnamon roll from Louis's business. That was the biggest news of all last week.
It was.
If I'm being honest.
Well, I have news. Dave the cat update.
Oh, thanks.
Our
Good.
precious
Dave
golden
update.
boy lost his squeaker last week. It's not a toy. It's this cute meow. It's actually quite a loud and bracing meow. So when it's gone, you notice. And we took him to the vet, and it turned out he was diagnosed with kitty laryngitis, probably due to consuming a small piece of paper. Stationery store problems.
Or chips, tortilla chips.
There's absolutely no reason to believe that. It's been so long since the chips. But the paper, it was in his vomit, folks. We figured it out. He's doing better and is now at like 80% full meow. So yeah. Thank you to Dr. Jennifer O'Driscoll at the Cat Clinic, who did such a good, we think, diagnosis. And congrats to Dave, who's gotten to eat a lot of soft, squishy foods as a result and is off the kibble regime.
Yeah, off the kibble.
I hope your hockey training won't go too far off the rails.
Yeah, it's true. We have been training Dave as a goalie for the Cat Olympic team.
We are way into the Winter Olympics, and there's only another 2 years to prepare unless they push back the Winter Olympics since they're pushing back the Summer Olympics.
Oh, I don't think they'll do that, but who knows?
Okay.
Who knows? Then they'd just be real goofy.
Yep.
I guess got a little bit of local news. Library's reopening in about a week. That's a big thing.
That's huge.
That's a big thing. Everybody loves the library. Excited to see it back in action.
Yep.
Be safe at the library. I know the staff will really appreciate it if you're courteous and wearing masks and all of the things that make people feel more comfortable when they're at their place of employment and you're entering.
That's no big deal. Speaking of masks, we have an exciting update that our friend Johnny, who is a local musician, also makes masks and is making and selling masks very affordably to help pay their way through occupational therapy school. So we bought a whole bunch of these from Johnny, and we're selling them basically at our cost. They're going to be $6 so that when you buy one and have us drive it all the way out to deep West Lawrence for you, we won't feel like it was so painful.
Just come pick it up.
Or just come pick it up. They're really cute. They have two-tone, which I kind of like, is a little bit of a Two-Face vibe. So you just pick the angle on your Zoom call, and they're quite comfortable. They have the ear loops for quick on and off. So maybe not as much for all-day wear, but quick trips out into the world. Partly, we wanted to have affordable masks on hand, so when people do start shopping at Wonderfair, if you don't want to get one of our free disposable masks, which are not great for the environment, maybe instead opt to buy one of these affordable masks to wear in our store and other downtown businesses. We also have them in child sizes. So if you have a very tiny face or a person with a tiny face due to their low age. Did I say that right? We got you covered. They're already on the website, though we haven't added them to inventory, but later you can search masks on our website and buy one. The colors will be assorted because there's 50 completely different. No two are the same, so you just gotta take your chances.
Roll the dice.
But what would you rather do? Take your chances with someone else's health by not wearing a mask, or take your chances on what cute mask pattern you get?
Take your chances on public scorn.
Also public scorn. Oh my gosh. There's so much public scorn going around.
Yeah.
You're going to want to dodge that by wearing this protective gear. It's mostly to protect you from scorn, if we're honest. So that's valid. Public shaming has its place.
All right.
Yo.
So that covers local news. Let's dig in. We got an action-packed show. If you're just tuning in, we got Lewis from Decade, or as we like to say, Decade. We'll talk about the pronunciation with him soon. But also the newly opened Cellar Door Cafe, home of the greatest cinnamon roll I've ever eaten.
Home of the world's best cinnamon roll.
Yes.
I'm saying it.
Just coming right out of the gate with that. And I can't hype it enough.
He already made the best cookies in town, so imagine.
Secretly the best cookies in town. He never wins the award, but you got to know about it.
It's truly a shame.
Okay.
Tragedy.
We'll cover all the tragedies associated with Lewis's unheralded greatness to come.
It's good. All right, folks, strap in. We've been on a real journey.
We did one
discovery
last Thursday. If you missed it, find it on YouTube. Notebooks Part 1. What do we talk about?
My hair is bananas today. I'm sorry, everyone.
What do we talk about?
Okay.
Thursday,
we first talked about notebook sizes, the standard size scale used to identify notebooks, so you know what you're talking about if you call and ask us for an A5, etc. We also talked some basics of notebook bindings between spirals and stitch or staple, etc.
And then Friday
we talked about, we spilled our guts. We talked about all the guts you can have in notebooks, from your classic lined through your more modern but extremely versatile dot grid. And we even talked about some specialty guts, which are strange and specialized to specific uses, rare and weird, or that are unspecialized, which is to say multiple kinds of notebook paper in a single notebook, so you can be wherever the day takes you, your notebook is right there, ready to map it out.
And what are we doing today? Part 3.
Part 3 of notebooks. And by the way, I really delayed notebook talking because I love them so much. I really wanted to do it justice. So I know that I will not cover everything I need to about notebook brands in this talk, but I'm feeling pretty embarrassed that it took me 2.5 episodes to cover notebooks.
I think it could have been a whole week. Should have done the full week.
I will do a more redux version today, where I introduce people to the peculiarities of different brands we carry at Wonder Fair that we love. So if size or guts aren't enough to help you pick your perfect notebook, and you want to know something about the brand and what they're bringing to the table, the work table, the broadcast table, let's dive in. Okay. The pool's not opening for a while, but you can still dive into notebooks today.
Wow.
Memorial Day.
Official
pool opening day.
I can't believe you didn't give that to me 15 minutes ago when I was tweeting about today's episode.
I didn't know I needed to.
Okay.
But it was good,
could use
right?
a header like that.
Oof. Let's redo it later. Okay. Diving in. Memorial Day. Pool's open. Water's fine. All right. Let's start at the top with... Shall we just start with one of my favorite notebook brands?
I can't imagine a different place.
I'm not just the president of Wonder Fair. I'm also a client. And I purchase a lot of notebooks from me. The first notebook that I sort of dedicated my life to and decided this will be a notebook I just keep using over and over was by the brand Midori from Japan, which I talk about all the time. They just make a huge variety of products, and they're very accessible in the U.S. market.
I wouldn't say it's huge. It is not an overwhelming variety of products.
Oh, sorry. Overwhelming to me, an extreme notebook specialty. That's all I look at.
I feel like they've really fine-tuned their line, so there's not a bunch of extra products in there, and
Yes
it's
and
just
no.
a
I
good.
mean, they don't make a lot of a huge variety of writing tools, but
Mm.
they make a huge variety of stationery, from letter sets to paper clips
Mm.
to notebook covers.
I thought we were talking about notebooks.
They make straps. They make everything you need for notebook life.
Okay.
But my favorite notebooks by Midori are twofold. First of all is the MD notebook. MD, I believe, an abbreviation of Midori, but that is the name of this specific line, which are creamy covers with naked binding, so you can see the what I like about them is you can see all of the parts that make the notebook. And if you ever had one of those clear landline phones in the 80s or 90s, you know what I'm talking about. It's just more fun when you can see all the moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
You can see there's a lot of details in a Midori that I love that make them one of my favorites. In addition to just being a really quality paper with really nice gut varieties, you can get dots, you can get lines, you can get grid, you can get blank. They also have in mind that they want their products to be heritage and heirloom and last your whole lifetime. So in doing that, they add features that when they're all lined up on your bookshelf, they're going to look good together and have like ongoing usefulness. So depending on what kind of guts you buy, I always buy this grid. It has a black bookmark ribbon that you can see from the spine. But if you buy a different type, like Paul has the lined, the ribbon marker, what color is that ribbon marker?
You got me.
Oh, well, different. So there's one that has like a red ribbon marker. So if you had them all lined up on your shelf without even having text on the spine, you could look at the ribbon color and know which one to pull out and use. Or if they're in your bag, even though they look the same on the outside, the ribbon marker is a secret way of identifying which notebook you're pulling out, which I think is the subtle and thoughtful design addition. And those are my favorite kinds of design additions, the subtle, thoughtful ones. So this is a blank. It's got a yellow ribbon marker. These actually might both be black. Nope, this one's navy. So lined has navy, graph has black, blank has yellow, and
Mysteries
it must be,
of Midori revealed.
and it must be that I think the dot has green. I really thought one of them had red, but that might not be the case. Oh, actually, it's dark red on this A4. And they're very beautiful. So you'll have like a rainbow of very subtle color shift details on your shelf. So if you're going for that pure minimalism shelf, so you can be featured on apartment therapy, you're going to want to pick up the Midori line.
And you're going to want to get like 40 notebooks so that you can really build that rainbow. And
if you'd like us to special order a rainbow of notebooks for you to spine out on your shelf and look good in photos on Instagram, we'll do it.
And if you want us to make them look like you've actually used them, we can beat them up a little bit.
No,
and then you can
cheating.
Just put them on your...
I won't contribute to that kind of... The internet's already full of lies, Paul. Be honest. Show your mess. We never do that, so we can't. We aren't practicing while we preach. It is a total chaos minefield.
It's a true mess.
Behind this camera is just mountains of boxes.
Let's give them a little peek. Look at these boxes. Look at that. What a mess.
We are saving those boxes to reuse for shipments, so we don't have to waste materials in this.
There's so many boxes
world.
There, and most of them are too big for shipments.
Real talk, we should probably start recycling some of those, but we were being a little bit overzealous in our stockpiling of reused boxes. Okay, next up, Midori. How much time I got? I can't do it all. Yeah. I got like 10 minutes.
We got another 15 before we pull Lewis in here. We can talk about notebooks with Lewis too, but I'd rather talk about Simmons.
I do want to know his favorite notebook, but we'll get into that later. Okay.
Quiz coming, Lewis.
Another brand that we've talked about that has some features I can give a little bit of insight into is Baron Fig, who we talked about being a company based out of New York, though the product isn't made there, that have slightly different size notebooks, but they're all like really upgraded quality hardbacks with unusual types of guts that I think are very thoughtful and always efficiency oriented. Gosh, I probably should have thought about what the secret fun fact of Baron Fig would be. You use a Baron Fig. Would you like to share your favorite features?
You know, Baron Fig is notable in that they crowdsource a lot of their design ideas. Mm-hmm. So they kind of, as they launched their brand, were like, what are the things you want and need in a notebook? And so they were just like pulling in those suggestions. And I think they've done a good job of really trying to capture a nice, elegant notebook for just like a reasonable price, but with those those features. Probably most notable for like, this is a relatively small notebook, but designed to lay flat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hardbound.
Yep.
So it's got that nice, what do you call it? Spine.
All notebooks have a spine.
Nope.
Cloth bound.
It's cloth bound, and then underneath that cloth there, you got the C-stitch dudes.
This
What was the word?
So there's a couple of ways to do a cloth binding like this, and I'm just gonna do a quick check here, somewhat. So there's like sometimes there's gonna be like a little piece of headband or other decorative tape up here. This doesn't have it, but it lays flat because it's first signature sewn into an interior cover, and then that whole interior block, this is called the book block, is tipped into the hard back cover. I think the feature I'm going to point out about Baron Fig is they feel infinitely giftable because they're very neutral, but they're also really high in looking and feeling. They come in a presentation box. So if I was gifting a notebook and I didn't know what notebook someone liked, this feels like a safe, neutral, quality choice. You can't go wrong because they look beautiful. And the fact that they have a lot of different colored notebooks now. If you're a journaler and you want your bookshelf to have a rainbow of colors that denotes the passage of time, Baron Fig's a great brand to invest in. Or if you want the same notebook over and over again, so you look a little bit, well, I'm not going to say like a serial killer because that's a judgment. I actually think it's very nice if people are that organized, but you know, just let people see your regularity. I don't know what the word is. Just like, I love it when people are so organized that they can just keep buying the exact same.
I feel like our visit to the Kirkland household really stuck with you because I think about Matt Kirkland's notebook collection here, and he's been using like the same notebook for like 10 years or something.
It was like a really basic composition book, right?
Yeah, and it was just like...
It looks so amazing on his bookshelf to have the exact same spine out like for years of life, and it was just... That's the kind of thing that ends up in a museum someday and someone is like, wow, that person was really dedicated a long time. I can never imagine my life having that much focus for so long. And I aspire to that. So my comments are made out of jealousy and goal, my desire, rather than any...
Shout out to Matt.
Shout out to Matt. What a notebook collection.
Good job,
Super
Matt.
Jealous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Baron Fig, we love it. Just got a huge shipment in, and so a lot of their products, including their more specialized stuff, is now available at wonderfairhomeshopping.com.
Back in stock if they weren't out of stock as a brand. The next notebook line I'm going to shout out is made by the overarching, like the family brand Marumon, who make a lot of great notebooks and sketchbook, but specifically their Mnemosyne line. It's spelled weird, so I'm going to spell it aloud. Mnemosyne. It's based on, I think it's Greek, the Greek word for, I believe, memory, Mnemosyne. I used to call it Mnemosyne, but people corrected me, so apparently it's Mnemosyne. Okay. I don't speak the language, folks. So Mnemosyne notebooks have a few features worth shouting out. First of all, if you are a back pocket or otherwise just sloppy Joe who puts your coffee on your notebook, you might need to have your side table notebook be a Mnemosyne because it has a plastic cover. You can just put your coffee on it.
No problem.
That's a feature
Doubles as a coaster.
It's a feature I look for in notebooks all the time. And it's nice if you are just like working in a damp or moist environment where you sometimes set your notebook down. Like if you work in a coffee shop, you flip it open, and then when you set your notebook down, looking at Lewis, this plasticky cover also protects the back of your notebook, which just makes your notebook stay neater and tidier. Speaking of the back of this notebook, it's a very sturdier than average piece of board. So it works a lot better. It's still like a soft cover, but with some density for writing without a surface. If you don't want to go all the way to hardback, a Mnemosyne is a nice compromise for that reason. It's sturdy without being hardback. It also has a good double coil, and they have super smooth, wonderful to write on paper for fountain pen users. It'll be a little slower drying for some folks, especially with like gel pens, but it'll still work. And it's nice for pencils, but it'll be smudgier for pencil drawing because it's so smooth. So be thinking about that. One thing I didn't actually talk about with Midori, another reason I like it is it's not as smooth as Mnemosyne paper. It's a little what we call toothier and spongier, which means you can use a variety of media and they'll all work pretty well on it, even though it's not optimized for one tool. I like having the variety, even though I exclusively use fountain pen in it. I like a little bit toothier fountain pen paper for my note taking because I like to really feel myself achieving. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For letter writing, I like it smooth as glass, so I feel like I'm ripping through it. But with lists, because they kind of like drag you down, I like the sensation to match.
Gotta scratch them out.
I like to feel like when I drag that pen across my to-do list, I like to feel it. That's me. I'm realizing I'm kind of weird and think too much.
So the Maruman Nemosini, I want to give a shout out to our customer who on Thursday, I believe, maybe you'll remember their name, drove from Manhattan to buy one
Sadia.
$9 notebook. I was like, we can ship it. And she was like, nope, I'm coming.
Yeah.
She loved the...
I don't know their pronouns.
They loved the... the Maruman, which we didn't bring there, Spiral, which we were currently out of in the graph grid.
We still have it in line.
Still have it in line, but it's a great $4 notebook with this lovely paper, right? Maybe a little less smooth than this, or is it the same?
I think it's the same, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd love to know that.
Okay, we're gonna fact check ourselves.
All right, so Nemosini, just lots of nice features. The lines aren't ever printed too dark. So lots of just A+ across the board.
One thing to know is all the Nemosini though are spiral bounds.
Yep.
So.
Okay, major notebook brand features. Next up, let's talk about Bend-A-Work, which I had not talked about previously.
I barely know anything about this brand except
I don't have an open one by me. I
didn't even bring it.
I blew it, but one reason. So Bend-A-Work are, I believe, handmade in Germany.
Bindvik.
Bend-A-Work are handmade in Germany. Gosh, I'm bad at pronouncing that. Features of Bend-A-Work that I like a lot. They're always extremely hardback chipboard. They feel like they're probably made with really environmentally friendly materials, which is common to notebooks made in Germany. They have a taped cloth binding that also lays very flat with lots of signatures. But here are the main kickers of a Bend-A-Work. For one thing, they all come with an incorporated pin loop on the side, which the Blackwing company also does, but I think that, they're equally good notebooks. Bend-A-Work is just consistent with it. They also all come with a strap like you'll see in Rhodia's and a lot of Clairefontaines, but they've actually inset the strap into a little scoop so it lays perfectly flat. So when you put it on your shelf, it rolls in really smoothly, and it's just a little design detail that makes the notebook feel thoughtful. Now, one fact about the fact that, too many uses of the word fact. So the strap I said goes into the cover, but importantly, it also cuts into the page. So your pages all have weird little scoops, which I don't mind, but I feel like some folks will not love that. Also a note on the paper that makes Bend-A-Work unusual. It is very creamy in tone. I believe they usually number the pages, though I need to double check that. And unlike all the other papers I can show you, exclusively this notebook, the paper is ever so slightly textured like laid paper. So when you write on it with a journal, it feels more like writing on a traditional old school laid paper notebook paper. So it has that little bit of vertical and horizontal texture lines, which makes everything look beautiful. So if you are trying to go back in time, and I don't know if you would, because as much as this timeline sucks, like it wasn't actually that great in the past, folks. We're improving all the time. But notebooks, that parchment paper looks cool.
Yeah.
And this is the closest you can get to it in a journal that we carry.
Okay, wow,
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's like a cool paper. It's a different kind of paper. It's still fountain pen friendly. It's more on the toothy side, but that means it's really nice for dry media, like colored pencils and regular pencils. Really fun to use with Bend-A-Work. And that's why we carry it also in this very big size, which we have in blank and lined, and maybe even dot grid. It's a great dot grid sketchbook for people.
Oh yeah, you don't normally see dot grid at that scale.
You don't. We have only a couple in the store. All right, I have probably time to shout out one last brand, so I'm gonna use it up on 2 brands.
We're gonna be doing notebooks part 4 tomorrow. I mean, I'm just looking at what we didn't get to cover here today, and there's a lot.
You're right. I didn't talk about Leuchtturm, Mossery, Rhodia. I should really talk about Himakuri notes.
Field notes. Nuna. I mean, we didn't even get to Nuna.
Yeah. I'll do one more tomorrow.
Part 4 tomorrow.
I'm incorrigible. I just love notebooks.
So far, I haven't had anybody be like, okay, enough with the notebooks. Get back to your usual shenanigans.
Whatever we do.
This is what we normally do.
We're
It's
the
the
best.
same thing.
All right, last notebook brand today that I can mention their special features is going to be Mossery, based out of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. A very wonderful husband and wife team running a small studio of artists, and they also invite artists to do special edition covers. Features of Mossery's you won't find elsewhere are this very unique removable and refillable notebook block that slides into a hard cover that also incorporates some pockets, and the cover incorporates a bookmark strap. Very nice. The cover also incorporates an elastic strap to keep things tidy in your bag, which are basically all of the features you want if you're looking for a rugged everyday carry notebook. But Mossery's kicked it up an extra level by making their refillable notebook block, which is stitch bound, and you can see the naked spine. I'd say this is our flattest laying notebook by far. This is called the thread bound. They also make a wire bound, which is also nice if you prefer to rip out pages. But if you like to keep your pages intact, I think the Mossery is one of the best you can do. Their paper has recently had an upgrade, so it is fountain pen friendly. In the past, it hasn't been as friendly as, say, a Leuchtturm or some of our Japanese brands, but I think it's on the ups. I use a Mossery for my sloppy notebook. I use a spiral so I can rip pages out, but I just love them, and I think they would make beautiful covers or cute covers options or professional, and they've got a lot of upgraded features that they innovated.
Yeah,
and I respect that.
These are jam-packed with features.
Mm-hmm.
Did you even cover the back gusseted pocket?
Huge gusseted pocket, but gusseted pockets are a dime a dozen.
I wouldn't say a dime a dozen. I would say at least 20% maybe.
Maybe it's
two gusseted, front and back.
A quarter dozen.
Front and back gusseted. We got.
It's so good.
You know.
It's so good. I really like them. They're a little pricier
this is
to
huge.
Start out.
This removable.
I love it. They're a little pricier to start out, but the refills, this is only a $14 refill. Initially, they're maybe a little over $20 to buy.
30.
But if you're usually buying a $20 like a Moleskine or a Leuchtturm, and you'd like to start cutting down on all the covers, although your bookshelf's going to look less cute, folks. So think about that. But if you're just here for the functionality, I think a Mossery could be a winner. That's probably...
Let's wrap it there. Folks are excited for part 4.
No, that's so kind. I feel like they're just indulging me because they know we're having a hard time.
They just know you want to talk about notebooks for days on end.
There's a lot to enjoy. These companies put their heart and soul into these notebooks. Okay.
Well, there's so many things in this world to enjoy, one of which is food. And that's why we've invited our friend Lewis here on the show today. You might know him for his coffee. But for the last several years, Decade has secretly been one of the greatest places to eat in Lawrence.
It's true.
Sneakily putting the best Eggs Benedict on the menu anywhere in town. And now adding to the repertoire.
They also had a very good breakfast burrito. I will say I have very high-low breakfast burrito standards, so I haven't actually met my perfect breakfast burrito yet, but... They got the closest.
Lewis is doing great.
Levi's got a good breakfast burrito too.
They put tots in theirs?
They put tots in theirs.
There's plenty of secrets
you know
for
what,
breakfast
y'all?
burritos.
You need to put pinto bean mush in your breakfast burritos. Only Lewis put pinto beans in my breakfast bean mush. I mean, I'm from Texas, so this is not negotiable. You must have a pinto bean in your burrito. Okay. Did y'all know I was kind of from Texas? My accent doesn't come out.
Meredith spent time in Texas.
It was a lot.
Years on end. All right, do a quick wipe down here.
Oh, thanks. Whoosh, whoosh. Okay. All right. Achieve, believe. Lewis,
welcome. Please welcome to the show, Lewis Wagon Tocolino.
Hello, hello.
So Meredith and I will probably split time here. She'll think of really clever questions while I just kind of sit here and try and figure it out. So Lewis, let's start with the newest venture. You're opening a new business in 2020, the year of global pandemic. What's that like?
We have done the weirdest soft open, which is basically not tell anybody that we were opening. because we didn't know what we could do. We don't have our coffee machine plugged in. We don't have any employees because they are not ready to come to work yet, and we're letting them make that decision for themselves. So we're just starting up slow, and we're going to take it day by day and let it grow as it can, which is great. It's called the Cellar Door Cafe, and it's on 11th Street in the beautiful, newly renovated building right across the street from City Hall.
Does the building have a name?
Courthouse. It is... I don't think so. I don't remember. It used to have a name.
We're calling it the Sugar District because you got the ice cream shop there. Silas and Maddie's is moved there, and then you got the soda shop, and then behind those two businesses is essentially yours, the Cellar Door.
Yeah.
And now you're not fully sugar, but so far
we're doing really good sugar.
Doing really good
and
sugar.
And we're doing a lot of other stuff that's not sugar too. So happy to be there. Trying to balance it out. So we're doing the sandwiches and the fries to go before or after your ice cream.
Did you say fries?
We will.
Fries.
I got my fryer turned on last week. I got the potatoes in this week. We're going to have fries. We don't yet, but every day, every week, it's going to be something new added to the menu.
Now,
is this because you know people in campus like to dip their fries in ice cream? A weird thing that I'm sure, is that normal? Is that Kansas?
I have not heard of the fries and ice cream, though the fries and a Frosty I have heard, so it's not that far off. Maybe a milkshake. Maybe we can get Silas Mays to do a milkshake.
Well, I'm game.
Well, so let's roll back a little bit. We've got Decade over in East Lawrence, and you've been running that for how long now?
Decade was open 6 years on May 3rd.
Okay.
So, our 6-year anniversary, we were closed for.
Well, you are not alone in that.
That's how it goes. These are exciting times.
But at Decade, I feel like you've really been kind of sneaking the food in quietly and doing really amazing stuff with not a lot to work with in terms of a kitchen setup is what I've gotten from talking to you.
Yeah.
So how are things different now?
Now I have the kitchen that I always wanted at Decade. So Decade, we opened as a coffee shop and then just slowly added food to it as both a creative outlet and the realization that people wanted to spend time at Decade. It was a beautiful space. They wanted to come. They wanted to hang out. And so rather than doing 100 coffees to go, it made a lot more sense for us to do meals for the people who were staying. So without a kitchen, we had a couple of induction burners. We were steaming and boiling and everything we could, and making it work, and it was working really well. So we decided to expand and open, put in a full kitchen. We put in a full bakery and a line kitchen, and now we can do all of the things that we couldn't do at Decade, like baking and frying and roasting.
Wow.
And that stuff.
So if there was no pandemic, can you walk me through what a visit to the Cellar Door might look like?
Yeah, it's got so the door opens up on 11th Street. So you come in, big, beautiful window. We'll have pastries on display in the case, going for the best window display in Lawrence for food.
Best food window display.
I'm not trying to compete with everybody, but
we do not deserve to be in that category, so I say take it.
But there's some people who do, I think.
Yeah. There's some great ones.
So we're gonna have a great window display of all the cakes and cookies and things in the window. You come in, there's about 24 seats, which is pretty small, cozy space for people to hang out or grab a sandwich, get some coffee or lunch to go to work or go home. The kitchen's in the back in a separate space. We got a nice chef's table back there so we can do dinners for 12 once we can put 12 people around a table. Right now we've got all of our culinary books spread out, so it's kind of our research library table.
That must be fun.
Which is, feels really good. It's a beautiful space. Really happy to be in there. So
excellent. And so will it be what kind of meals are we talking here when people are able to come? Is it breakfast, lunch, dinner? What are we doing?
Right now, or I guess the first goals were definitely going to be strong lunch and brunch, kind of morning lunch, breakfast fare.
Nice.
And then as that takes off and we get our feet underneath us, we'll have we'll get a liquor license and we'll do a full dinner as well. But the focus is going to be lunch and
starting breakfast and lunch.
Yeah.
Boy, And would you be doing takeout too? I mean, I guess you are doing takeout.
Right now we're all
figuring that
takeout
out, right?
and curbside, and we're going to work on delivery soon. So I think that definitely was always part of the plan, but we're really perfecting that model. So it'll be kind of reverse it. So we're figuring out how to do takeout and delivery, and then once we can, we'll have in-house seating.
Well, as somebody who works downtown all the time, I'm very much in favor of you establishing great takeout meals that I can walk 2 blocks and then bring back here and scarf on a quick break.
That's fine.
So that sort of service is greatly appreciated. I know it's not always the first thing people think about when they're building out a space, but I'm glad you get the opportunity to figure that part out. Works for me. Well, okay. I know Meredith's probably working on some questions, but can we just start with the cinnamon roll?
Yeah.
Cinnamon bun? What do you call it?
Absolutely. Cinnamon roll.
Cinnamon roll.
It is rolled.
Yeah, it's a roll. It's rolled. That cinnamon roll was amazing. And I've had a lot of amazing pastries. 1900 Barker makes amazing pastries here. And when I heard you were going to be doing pastries, like, what is he doing? You know, like, who does he think he is? And then I ate this cinnamon roll, and it like floored me. And Meredith can speak to this. Meredith doesn't give a damn about cinnamon rolls. Could care less. Pass all the time. And Meredith was like, "This is amazing, and I want 3 more right now." Tell me where it came from, what's going on there, because it had like, I'm just like over the moon about this. It had like this. Your what's it called? Sugary.
The pearl sugar?
Is it the pearl sugar? It kind of like melted into the roll and had this wholly new texture that wasn't like, it was kind of like chewy but still bready. And it wasn't like fully sugar. I don't know.
Yeah.
Talk to
So
me
I took
about
all of
what's
my
going on.
favorite things and just rolled them into this. It starts with the bread. So wanting to make really good bread, it starts with sourdough brioche. Lots of eggs, lots of butter, natural. It's entirely a natural leavening, natural starter. So, give that the proof and the ferment and the whole sourdough treatment for about 36 hours. The bread sits. The filling in the cinnamon roll is the pearl sugar that you don't see very often, but you would find in like a Liège waffle. Those little crunchy bits of pearl sugar, along with the cinnamon and the classic cinnamon and sugar mix rolled into the cinnamon roll. And then we bake them off. I glaze coat the muffin tin that we bake them off in sugar. So when you bake it, that kind of candy's on the outside and it gives it a nice little shell.
That little shell was the real kicker.
Yeah.
And there was an icing on it.
And there was an icing on it.
Exceptional.
I think I just realized the thing. You bake them in a muffin tin, so it's not like the sides are all touching their neighbor cinnamon rolls, which exposes them to softness, which exposes them to getting like dried out.
Yeah.
Versus yours, which was encapsulated with delicious sugar skin.
Sugar skin.
So it was just moist cinnamony sugar flesh inside.
Yes.
So much more.
Sourdough Cafe, home of the sugar skin.
Home of the sugar skin.
Wow.
Yeah, so just like any good bread, I wanted to get a little bit of a crust on there because that brioche has a nice, beautiful brown crust on there. The frosting, because I believe in maximal effort and doing everything as hard as I can and making my own mascarpone cheese with a little bit of orange.
You made your own mascarpone for that?
A little bit of orange flour water and vanilla and sugar for the frosting. Yeah.
Oh, wow. It was a delight. Most frostings you get on a cinnamon roll are just like heavy sugar frostings. And this was light and delicious and really complemented the flavors.
Comment from the Instagram asks if there could ever be a gluten-free version, or is that not possible?
I don't know if it's possible. We are going to explore it because I've read some things that suggested that it's possible. I just haven't tested it.
Cool. Yeah. You can, run before you walk.
Yeah.
Wait, the other way.
We'll just slowly expand. This is definitely a bakery, so I don't think we'll do anything truly gluten-free for like celiac disease sensitivity, but we want to have a nice diverse option. I really believe that stuff should be good in its own right. So what is that? Not to say that gluten-free isn't, but I don't want to do a substitution. I want something that's really good on its own for everybody, and then happens to be gluten-free. Like our tea cakes, for example, are gluten-free and just a really good pastry.
Oh, I love your tea cake.
Yeah.
Well, Life with Footnotes, you should check out their tea cakes. They make a green tea cake. Is it green tea?
The matcha tea cake.
Matcha
Yeah.
tea
Man,
cake.
it's so good.
And we do an Earl Grey with black tea cake too.
And those you have already on the menu, right?
Yeah, we have those on the
Okay.
menu and on display in the window.
I think that's smart. Like a flourless torte is delicious in its own right. It's not trying to be chocolate cake. It's better than chocolate cake, and it's gluten free.
Yeah. So you can see our menu. If you go to the cellardoorcafe.com, right now it'll redirect you to the old Decade Square site, but we're going to update that. But anyway, cellardoorcafe.com will take you to whatever the current incarnation is of our menu, and that's where you can order. And you can order in advance. You can order a day of. I think there's a 15-minute wait time for it. And right now we're doing pickup or curbside delivery off the website.
And that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday right
days?
now. Thursday,
Okay.
Friday, Saturday, 10 to 3.
Okay. And it's best to website. Are there any other ways to order?
You can call us. I don't have the phone number memorized because it's very new, but you can give us a call and we can take
Okay.
your order. And we are doing very super limited contact. You can walk up to the space and you can place an order there too. We prefer ordering online because you'll be able to get the whole menu and you'll be able to make a lot more of the decisions a lot more smoothly, but we can help you out if you come by and poke your head in the door. You can see the space too that way. It's
Get to see
beautiful.
the space when you pick up, which is a real thrill. What a great job they've done renovating that building. It's really nice.
Yeah, turned out so well.
So,
So
okay.
speaking of really good bread, the other thing we're doing,
tell me. So this is maybe your first new creation that I saw you kind of like loudly proclaiming. This is
Yoink.
Well, tell us what we got here.
So these are fresh made English muffins. One of the things we were doing brunch, like you said, we were doing Eggs Benedict at Decade, and I'm really excited to figure out. I haven't figured out how to make those travel well, so we're not doing them at the shop right now, but we might try to. But I've got some ideas. But anyway, I wanted to make my own English muffins for that, so we started making them. They are super craggy, as I believe Meredith is demonstrating on
Yes,
Instagram.
show that cragginess.
Got all the nooks and crannies. They're very soft. They are a sourdough English muffin, but not sour. They're just naturally yeasted, which keeps them fresh longer. Gives them a little better chew to them. Super tender. They also make really good sandwich bread. They're my favorite. What I want to do, they're my favorite hamburger bun because the Craigs will capture all of the cheese and juices and whatnot for the burger, but the crust on the outside keeps it all contained in a nice little packet. So we're going to start doing burgers on those. We're doing our schnitzel chicken sandwich on it, breaded and fried chicken with pickled cabbage and some mayonnaise.
I believe our first update was about a week and a half ago. We told the crowd there's a new sandwich in town.
Yeah.
And it's the chicken schnitzel sandwich at Cellar Door. And it's amazing. I've had 2 already. Have I eaten the most of those?
You
My number 1?
You might be.
All right.
I believe so.
I might try and retain my crown for a while.
One a week.
This is amazing because it's so flavorful. And I can't remember really ever getting any flavor out of an actual English muffin that I ever ate, besides like the cornmeal on the bottom and, whatever you put on it. It's essentially a vehicle for consuming butter or jelly or something.
And we sell these every day. Huh?
Is there a runny egg sandwich on this yet?
Not on
You
that.
got to wait.
It's
It won't
coming.
travel well.
Won't travel. I have a fried egg sandwich on the sourdough that I'm making but I could do it. We could substitute on that on the English muffin. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, these are available for sale in a 6-pack on the website.
Oh, yeah.
And just so you know, for how good they are right now, I actually made these on Saturday. So they're great 3 days later. And yeah, they last about 5 days if you bag them up.
So folks can buy these, and then you make your own inferior to Lewis's Eggs Benedict at home, and you're doing great.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would be some tips? How do people make a hollandaise sauce? Lay it on them so that they know how much work you're doing.
Oh, it's hollandaise sauce is all about technique, and the ingredients are super simple. It's egg yolks, lemon juice, salt. You whisk those up so they're super smooth, and then heat up butter to below boiling but melted. And then you got to slowly drizzle it in while you're whisking, like you're making a mayonnaise or some other emulsion. It's an emulsified sauce.
Like all the mayonnaise you've made.
Yeah, for all the people who are making mayonnaise from scratch,
They're doing that
just hot butter mayonnaise.
They're doing that next door at Pedestrian at our other new upstart cafe downtown. Folks just
Are they open yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
But while you're mainly bakery focused right now, they're mainly cheese focused.
Yeah.
Which I gotta say, bread and cheese.
Cheese shop.
My two favorites.
Yeah.
I'm in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Lawrence, Kansas.
They were our first guests on the show. Well, no, Lee was our first guest, but they were on a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Chatting about their new venture.
My last bite.
Well, 6 packs of English muffins to go at Cellar Door Cafe. We love it. Gonna eat them all day long, or get it. This is what that sandwich comes on, right?
Yeah, this is what that chicken sandwich comes on.
Chicken sandwich comes on this. What other sandwiches you got on the menu?
I got the fried egg sandwich on the sourdough.
That's on already.
We're doing those are the 2 right now. So this week, hopefully, we'll get some more on the menu. Right now, we've got 2. Oh, and a meatball sandwich we just did last week.
You're doing meatball?
We're doing a meatball sandwich with gremolata, sort of an almond and lemon parsley pesto on there with some melted cheese toasted on. We're making our own sourdough sandwich bread as well. So yeah, we're doing a meatball sandwich.
This is great news. I know we're living through a rough time, but things are getting better every day. There's a new meatball sandwich in town. Got a question from YouTube. Will you have waffles?
I don't have plans to have waffles right now, which isn't to say no.
Mm-hmm.
The future is broad and deep, but right now there's no plans for waffles.
Does anybody downtown do waffles?
Not that I know of.
There's a big opening here, Lewis.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I'd trust you to make a waffle.
Maybe we'll experiment with it.
Put some of that mascarpone icing on there.
Waffles don't travel well. I don't know if you've ever tried to eat a waffle.
I'm still thinking about the future.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking big.
So in the future.
I think I'm going to come into your shop and eat a big waffle with that mascarpone frosting on it.
The future, I can make that happen for you.
Bagels? Got a question on Instagram. Bagels? Question mark?
No plans to do bagels.
No plans. We got some other folks making bagels in town. We got Alchemy's making a bagel. Wheatfield's bagels on Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Saturday.
Wheatfield's does bagels.
Wheatfield's does bagel.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a hard bagel scene here in Lawrence. Let's recognize that.
Meshuggah in Kansas City is really where it's at.
Meshuggah's good.
Yeah.
Meredith, you gonna step in here?
I just have a couple of questions, but I know time is short.
Okay. I want to ask one more question.
Yeah.
What in your time as a restaurant entrepreneur and proprietor at Decade, at Cellar Door, what's the one thing you've made, added to the menu? You're like, this is it. This is a real home run, and then just like biggest flop, nobody wants it.
I have tried so many different things that didn't work. I give up on things pretty quickly.
Okay.
So I can't think of one. There are lots of things I put on the menu that just didn't sell for a week, and I abandoned them pretty quick.
Okay. Was there one that you were like, I love this. It's so good.
I can't think of one. I'm sorry. I can't think of one that I had my heart set on that didn't work out.
Maybe that's good that you're not like
I abandoned them and forget about
to
them.
an idea. All right.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. That just means you're probably not like us going to end up like, well, we're just going to keep trying to sell this real loser.
Pocket protector.
The Paul gets a lot of calls about pocket protectors, to be fair to him. I know we were close just there, but y'all need to know we're totes married and we're just always up in each other's business, so it's fine. Anyway, Lewis, I have 2 questions for you. First of all, I do want to shout out your breakfast burrito one more time. I don't know if we're going to have breakfast burritos moving into the unknown future, but it's nice to reflect on the past. Like I mentioned earlier, you're the only person in town putting pinto beans in their breakfast burrito that I know of. that are otherwise acceptable breakfast burritos.
I have a question for you.
Yeah,
have you made your own perfect breakfast burrito?
Yes, but I want to say that the perfect breakfast burrito for me that I will make at home is perfect in like a sloppy home cook, like it's the kind my dad used to make me. My dad famously is a terrible cook and once made us macaroni and cheese when my mom was out of town, where he just put the packet of cheese into the wet noodles with no other moisture or butter and was like, I did it. So my dad can't cook. But he can make a pot of beans, pinto beans, like no other. He's a Texan and he knows what he's doing. He puts like bacon fat in to get it started. You know what I'm saying? So he makes a great breakfast burrito that's just buttered tortilla, softened, pinto beans, too much of it, bacon slices, cheese, roll it up. Oh, scrambled egg, roll it up, you're done. And that's like a San Antonio, Texas breakfast burrito. So that's my perfect breakfast burrito, but I'm willing for it to get fancy in the wild because I know that most folks who run restaurants feel like they can't charge for that because that's like college bro food. So knowing that, what were you going to suggest to me?
Oh, nothing. I'm just always looking for new ideas and inspiration.
Oh,
I'm not going to pursue your fantasy dream breakfast burrito, but I was just curious.
I mean, it would just be titled like sloppy dad breakfast burrito, but it hits the spot when you just wake up and you want to just put it. It's kind of like an upgraded frozen burrito, if I'm honest.
Oh, yeah.
But yours came closest because like you got all the right ingredients and they were nicer and better made than I do at home. So related to pinto beans, which I gotta tell you, they're my favorite bean with a challenge from Cannellini. What is your favorite bean?
I like a red kidney bean.
Red kidney bean?
Yeah,
That's out of left field.
That real buttery, tender center.
I'm not sure I've ever had them on. Yeah. Is that mostly a salad bean? What do you do with a red kidney bean?
Chili. They're my favorite chili bean.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're buttery smooth.
Rarely by themselves because they're so smooth. You need something to hold up to them, and they really easily fall apart, so they're hard to prep in advance. But when they're right, that's my favorite.
Got it. Pinto beans are pretty starchy.
Yeah.
But I am also a potatoes eater, so I think the starchy is what I like.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm glad to know that there's a new bean in town. It's the red kidney bean. Is it in any of the dishes currently on the menu?
No, not right now.
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to your favorite bean.
No beans yet.
When your favorite bean makes an appearance, we'll have you back to talk about it. Last, because we don't have a lot of time, but I think people will be curious because we're excited for Cellar door to open, especially since you get to expand your menu and your coffee is great, but your food's always been what made us go out of our way to Decade. What's the plan for Did you already ask this? What's the plan for Decade, the coffee shop? And like, I know it's harder to have businesses open right now. So just if people are curious, do you want to give them and then we got to talk about cookies. But first, Decade.
We are using this as really an opportunity to reinvent Decade. Like I said, it was open 6 years. It was great and it will be great again, but we're going to reopen as Decade 2.0 and we really need to figure that out. So part of it has to do with how close can people sit in the same space. And how soon. So much of Decade was come and sit together and cram 20 people around the big table for a letter writing club. And that doesn't really seem like a good idea right now. So I think we're going to replace some of our seating with more retail stuff and put work into making the patio a really nice and beautiful space and try to suppress the mosquitoes and flies somehow. And I've been wanting for a couple of years to remodel and rebuild the bar and the back shelves just because it's feeling a little worn to me.
Right.
So we're going to pursue some pet projects. We're going to try to take a lot of our favorite stuff from Decade to the Cellar door since it's all to go anyway. It works a lot better as to go space out there.
Right. And you own that building, so you don't have an overhead that's like you have a mortgage, but maybe it's not like you're paying rent on a building you're not using. You're investing in a space you own. So that's cool. But is Decade not in a, whatchamacallit, those cool districts where you get the tax credits?
Development opportunity
zone. Is there an opportunity right now for you to invest in Decade using opportunity zone tax credits?
I believe it is, but I need to look into that.
You should, because you could, if you have any capital gains you need to defray, Lewis, you just got to invest right back in Decade because you're in the opportunity zone there. But guess what? Not on 11th Street, because those of us on the west side of the street of Mass Street, not included.
Right.
East side of Mass Street,
I think Mass Street.
Heck yes.
Yeah.
That's really weird, isn't it? Anyway, we got to talk about cookies as our shuffle off because the delicious plate of snickerdoodles and I think chocolate chips
Yeah, I brought 2 cookies with me today. The chocolate chip cookie. I've been making these for a long time. I can't compete with your grandma's chocolate chip cookie, but I think these are the perfect cookie. They're crispy on the outside and chewy in the center and kind of rich and lots of chocolate in them. A little bit salty. Great cookie there.
It's my favorite chocolate chip. We love chocolate chip cookies, and for years we're working to make the perfect chocolate chip cookie with which to make chocolate chip ice cream sandwiches. Like vanilla ice cream in the middle of 2 cookies, and your cookie was the best, so we stopped trying. But then you stopped making them.
Well, they're back.
They're back?
They're back. They're at the cellar door.
With ice cream in the middle?
Not with ice cream. I'm not making ice cream right now.
Could we take 2 cookies to Silas and Maddie's next door and be like, scoop it on, bubs?
You probably could. I need to talk to them and work something out.
That would be fantastic.
If nothing else, you can get a junior scoop in a cup, and you can put it on 2 cookies, and we'll call it the ice cream sandwich.
What
special.
a partnership. What a perfect location for you, specifically because of my selfish ice cream cookie dreams.
Yeah,
so
it
thank
can be done.
you.
And then the other one is a newer cookie that I've been working on. I'm calling this one the Golden Doodle.
Oh.
Because it's a Snickerdoodle inspired cookie with saffron in it. Gives it a nice golden yellow color, saffron, a little bit of coconut, and then a 5-spice blend instead of cinnamon on there. So this is a reinvented Snickerdoodle called the Golden Doodle. And they're also very good.
It's mine now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat that later. Golden Doodle, like the dog.
Like the dog.
Your chocolate chip cookies are of a darker tone than the average off the store shelf, like light brown and dark chip. What's up with that?
I put a little bit of whole wheat flour in them. A little bit of molasses to give them some richness and keep them chewy.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to cook them a little bit longer so that the edges are crispy.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love the cragging going on in there.
Yeah.
They've got those like molten lava separations that I look for in a chocolate chip because that's how you know it's going to be chewy.
I'll hold that up.
I will not stand a hard chocolate chip cookie. And I think Wheatfields makes a lot of great cookies, but I'm not. Other people love their chocolate chips. I'm not saying it's not for everyone. It's a personal preference matter. I love Wheatfields. They got a great lemon cookie. They've got a great like multi-crazy coconut cookie.
I really like their oatmeal raisin cookie.
Their oatmeal raisin with, I think it's coconut and
walnuts.
Yeah, that sounds right. That is such a good cookie.
Good cookie.
But number 1 is this chocolate chip cookie. And you also make a good no-bake cookie. But not consistently? Is it not around all the time?
It's not around right now. No bake was what we were doing a decade because we couldn't bake. So that'll probably be a decade exclusive.
Sure.
And it'll come back when decade comes back.
Honestly, I like that you make other cookies at a much higher level than I can at home. And I feel like you did improve somewhat on no-bake, but if we're all honest, like a no-bake cookie is kind of like my dad's breakfast burrito. It's like you don't really need it to be so over the top. If you want to whip up some mascarpone and stick it on there, I guess. That would be gross, actually. Maybe not. Lewis, how's our Instagram time, Paul? Couple of 3. Oh, it's not on yet? Cool. Well, that was my question. I kept it short because I knew we didn't have much time. Is there anything else you want to share, Lewis? Any hot tips of like how to get Cody to give you secret samples or?
I don't think so. We're not doing a lot of sampling right now.
Yeah,
our hospitality game is really
you
very
can't
different.
do that stuff right now. Yeah.
So we're having fun. We're experimenting. We're only open 3 days a week, which means we're playing with new recipes and things the other 4 days a week. So the menu's going to change a little bit every week as we figure out what works and what we like and what people like and are wanting. I can't do everything because we're doing what we can, but I'm always happy to take requests and do what I can. So looking for inspiration. So if you have anything you're looking for, you can send us an email or
I have a
Instagram.
question about your chef table you mentioned in passing. It just kind of caught my imagination. I assume you mean it's like a family table in the back room that you will do private parties at.
Yeah, it's right in the kitchen.
Wow, that's very exciting. How would the menuing work for that? You got 1 minute.
We will work it out. It'll probably be a pre-reserved, kind of a prefix with some options, sort of a menu for bigger groups at that table.
Awesome. That feels like something that could actually start up sooner because people who are already in nuclear pods in quarantine could come and eat.
If we can figure out how people who are sharing, I don't know what to call it. Communal.
Pods is actually the word for people who have formed like a quarantine group that's like close to other close contact. Close contact, of course, folks, in case you didn't know, means you're within 6 feet for 15 minutes or more, which is actually kind of a high bar. I haven't been in close contact with anyone for more than 15 minutes, unless we count this with the screen, like in 2 months. It's time to go, Lewis.
All right. Thanks for having me on. This is a lot of
Cookies,
fun.
which we're going to keep.
Yeah, they're all yours.
We're 10, 9, 8, 7. Lewis, thank you so much. See you at Cellar door. All right, YouTube, Instagram had to go because they have a distinct 1 hour cutoff. Instagram turns into a pumpkin. That's they've got really advanced technology. So, oh my God.
So if you want some bonus content for YouTube, I'll say this notebook.
Oh yeah,
I carry around everywhere with me. I think it's a field stone.
It's a field notes expedition. Here, I
think it's a stone paper or something.
Yep. So here is it in its pristine state. Cute.
It took me a while. You'll see the first page is a mess.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to use it, and then I found a pencil that I really like because
that's the Draftmatic where the
nib retracts, so I can stick it in my pocket
yourself.
And I don't break it and I don't stab myself. And so for about a year, I've been carrying these two around together, and it works great.
Is that clip giving you trouble? You could remove it, maybe.
I've tried to remove it and haven't figured out how.
Oh no, it's not a removable clip.
It's not a removable clip, but I love the pencil anyway.
It's a good pencil.
Yeah.
So you go pencil notebook because this waterproof, slightly plasticky paper is very slick. Any kind of roller ball in particular is very smudgy on it. Pencils are great. You can also use a very oil-based pen, like even a Bic pen is pretty nice with it. But
I had some favorite pens. My favorite pens didn't work, so I found a favorite pencil, and that solved it.
I like your adaptability, Lewis. I think that's something we can apply to this whole conversation about like menu items and trying things out and abandoning them when they don't work. But I'm glad you stuck with this because we've definitely talked in the past about like you need products that you can test in your Decade Kitchen or home kitchen lab that can get kind of wet and messy.
Yeah, pencil's great for that too. You can spill a cup of water on something written in pencil. You gotta wait for it to dry again, but it dries right back the way it was.
Right, no smudgy. The inks don't flash off because there is no ink. It's wax encapsulating the graphite. So the wax actually protects the graphite particles from water through like surface tension and resistance and just basic science. So if you are in a wet environment, check out a Field Notes expedition and a pencil, I guess. Good work, Lewis.
Yeah.
Way to solve it.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, that's good bonus content, folks. Those suckers on Instagram, I feel bad for them, but they'll catch up. We'll let them know to watch the last 5 minutes of YouTube. Thank you, Lewis.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for all of our years of friendship.
Glad to be here.
And all your future English muffins. It's really good.
Thanks.
That English muffin